Hello, and this time on the Mortgage and Protection Podcast, we have Paul back from Brick to Brick Mortgage Solutions to explain how the mortgage process works for self-employed dentists. Thank you for joining us, Paul. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Yeah, how are you?
Good. That is very good to hear. That was a lot of goods, wasn't it, in one sentence? I'll change it up a bit. I'm very well, thank you for asking.
Good, yeah, no problem at all.
Right, let's get straight into the questions that we've got here. So, first of all, what are the eligibility criteria for self-employed dentists seeking a mortgage in the UK?
As a self-employed dentist, on the income side, on the criteria for the income side, most lenders need you to have been in this position for 2 years. I do have lenders that will look at 1 year's trade-in now, which is fine. Then on the other criteria side of things that you would need, obviously your credit file needs to be good level, acceptable to lenders. They're all different, and so are the clients. So we need to look at the whole picture for you. So just come to us. We'll look at everything for you and make sure that it fits with someone that's hopefully one of the best deals out there for you.
Yes. Okay. Well, there we go. Hopefully that explains it all in a nutshell. And of course, we'll go into more detail as we go along the questions. Now, a part of the process, of course, is getting those documents ready. So what documentation is required for self-employed dentists when applying for a mortgage?
This depends on whether you've gone as a limited company or sole trader. But as a whole, your latest 1 to 2 years SA 302 tax calculations and tax year overviews, but also may need your company accounts, as we may be able to lend more based on what those are showing. And then on terms of the other documentation, pretty much the same as if you're employed really, which is the latest 3 months bank statements and your ID, such as license or passport. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Brilliant. Thank you for that then. Preparation is always key, isn't it, when it comes to having those documents ready? Right. This next question ties into that. So how do lenders assess the income of self-employed dentists for mortgage applications?
This will vary with the scenario and whether, like I mentioned, whether you're a limited company or a sole trader. I mean, with a sole trader, they look at the profit of the business on the SA 302s. But with the limited company, I've got lenders that will look at the salary and dividends from the SA 302s, or I do have other lenders that will look at profit plus a salary from the account. So sometimes accountants may help self-employed individuals by having the lower salary and dividends amount, but then on terms of lenders the profit may look a lot higher than that. So they're those scenarios that I may be able to get a lot more on the mortgage than some people think.
Right. Okay. Well, that's good news there. Now, let's look at this question. So, can you explain the concept of self-employed mortgage affordability for dentists in more detail?
Yes, of course. So on what we've mentioned on the affordability with the sole trader or limited company, the affordability with lenders can be sometimes 4.8 times income, sometimes 5. I have some lenders that maybe go to 5.5, 6 times income, and there is maybe 2 lenders that may go up to 7 times income.
Right.
But lenders need to fit on certain eligibility criteria as well. So all lenders have different eligibility criteria. And they also look at, it's whether we look at the profit option or the salary and dividends option as well. Different lenders look at different things on those. To get the maximum achievable for you, we need to look at the whole thing. Bearing in mind that also with these income multiples, they do come down with things such as any credit commitments in the background or any dependents when they're factored in. So, and also with lenders, some of them are harsher on credit commitments than others as well. So just, every person is different. So just come to us and we'll be able to look at that for you and hopefully get the amount that you need.
Yes. Okay. Well, there we go. Again, that's positive there. So let's continue on. People would like to know, are there specific mortgage products or schemes available for self-employed dentists?
Yes, some lenders, sometimes they offer professional mortgage products. They may carry certain incentives like lower product fees, etc., or maybe a slightly lower rate. But at the time when you're looking, obviously, we will look at whether those are available, and we'll bring that into our research for you to ensure that we are getting the best deal for you. And we'll bring those into it because dentists are classed as professionals with these products anyway. So that's all well and good.
Okay, so hopefully that's useful to know. There are options out there depending on your circumstances. But of course, I suppose these options and schemes and all of that, they can change, can't they,
Yes.
with time?
Yes,
So
indeed they can, and they're not always
yeah.
available with some lenders, but sometimes they
Mm.
may introduce them to the market at certain
Mm.
times. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Okay, brilliant. Now, we've got a question here that asks, what are the typical interest rates for self-employed dentists looking to obtain a mortgage?
This depends on many factors, such as with non-self-employed ones. Really, when loan to value, for example, what deposit you've got to put in. If you've only got a 5% deposit, the interest rate
Mm.
is going to be higher than if you've got 40% deposit. But as first time buyers, if you were a first time buyer as a self employed dentist, for example, most people don't have 40% deposit. But even if you've
Mm.
got 10% deposit, the interest rates will be far lower than if you've got 5%. So, on terms of typical interest rates for self employed dentists, we need to know what the loan to value is. And
Mm.
what deposit you have, and then we'll be able to assess what the rates are coming up at then.
Mm. Okay, so hopefully that explains that. Now, are there any additional challenges or considerations for self-employed dentists when obtaining a mortgage? Anything else we need to know here?
I think with any income scenario, there are challenges, especially in the mortgage broker industry. You're dealing with different types of customers. There's many challenges, different criteria that different lenders have. But as we specialise in complex incomes, we do
Mm.
know how to overcome these challenges. So it'd be more than likely not become a challenge for you. It'll just be our challenge to deal with. You probably won't have one, and then we'll check all the potential avenues there for you.
Right, okay. Well, that's good news. That hopefully that sounds helpful there. Now, with this next question, I'm not sure how much you can say here, but are there any specific tax implications or advantages for self-employed dentists when applying for a mortgage?
Yeah, exactly. As we're not allowed to do any tax advice, we have to advise that you speak with your accountant or tax advisor on that. But as far as we're aware, whether you're employed or self-employed, the government allowances are the same there.
Right, okay. So, two questions left. How do self-employed dentists demonstrate their financial stability to lenders? Is this where the documents come into play, Paul?
Yeah, it is. I mean, we do SA 302 in tax calculations, like we've mentioned. That would be where we look at the actual income and look at the income multiples side of things, and that's what lenders will look at. I mean, further down, after an application is put in, they may want you to show more. So they may want to look at your business bank statement showing that income is there from, say, for example, they're looking at something from April and it's then October, November, December. They want to check that income's still there with many lenders. So they want to check that's still ongoing with business bank statements sometimes. So again, all lenders are different, but sometimes they may ask for those extra things.
Right, okay. So that's something to just be aware of there. Now, lastly, are there any differences in the mortgage process for newly qualified self-employed dentists compared to experienced practitioners?
I mean, if you're newly qualified, it depends how far newly qualified goes, really. I mean, a newly qualified or experienced practitioners, I mean, if you're, after 2 years, you're still classing yourself as newly qualified, I'm not sure how dentists would do that. I mean, experienced, I mean, I guess after a year or two, you would be experienced. But on terms of, from a lender's point of view, whether you're newly qualified or experienced, that wouldn't make any difference to the rate that you get because you're still going
Right.
to be a self-employed dentist. But you will need to have, if you are self-employed, either way, so whether you're newly qualified or experienced, you need to have at least 1 year of self-employed history. Most lenders need 2 years, but I do have lenders out there that will take, well, they consider the 1 year's, what 1
Right.
year's accounts or 1 year's SA 302s there.
Mm. Okay, brilliant. Thank you for explaining that. Now, at some point, we will be back with a part 2 episode. There's more questions to cover on this. But Paul, do you think we've covered all that we can for now? Have you got any final points to make?
Not on the first part. I think that on the questions that you've mentioned, I think I've covered those. If
Yeah.
anybody does think of anything else that they think I may not have covered, just give us a shout and we'll be pleased to answer your questions.
Okay, brilliant. There we go. Thank you ever so much, Paul, as always. Hopefully that has proved useful to anyone listening to this, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
Thanks once again, Tessa. Great to talk to you, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
You too. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Please note, your home may be repossessed if you do not keep up with your mortgage repayments. For specialist tax advice, please refer to an accountant or tax specialist.